is going on in the world? Well, history is repeating itself. This isn't anything new. What up, guys? I am Sa Ra Garvey. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe as we get into this one. Now, there are many people out there asking themselves what is going on in the world. What are we seeing? We're seeing the sexualization of children. We are seeing cruelty on a level that we've probably never seen before. We are seeing the LGBTQ take over and attempt to sexualize everything. But I'm here to let you know, guys, cool, calm down, because this has happened before. This is nothing new. This is just history repeating itself. This is what it does. Don't believe me? Let's take a little trip down memory lane. Nero, who was enthroned in Rome in 54 AD at the age of 16, and went on to rule for nearly a decade and a half, developed a reputation for tyranny, murderous cruelty, and decadence that has survived for nearly 2,000 years. According to various Roman historians, he commissioned the assassination of Agrippina the Younger, his mother, and sometime lover. He sought to poison her, then have her crushed by a falling ceiling, drowned in a self-sinking boat, before ultimately having her murder disguised as a suicide. Someone who opposes you, someone who could expose you, having their murder disguised as a suicide. That sounds a little bit familiar, don't you think? Nero's strange sex life. Nero dressed as a woman. Suetonius wrote, besides abusing freeborn boys and seducing married women, he debauched the Vestal Virgin Rubria, a freed woman act he all but made his lawful wife. After bribing some ex-consuls to perjure themselves by swearing that she was of royal birth, he castrated the boy Sporus and actually tried to make a woman of him, and he married him with all the usual ceremonies, including a dowry and a bridal veil, took him to his home, attended by a great throng, and treated him as his wife. Does this sound all too familiar? Cutting off the genitals of men. Men marrying just like women do. Men dressed up as women. Does this all sound familiar? That is because history is repeating itself. There is nothing new under the sun. And as cliche as that sounds, history repeating itself, nothing new under the sun. If you are a student of history just like I am, you will see that this is just something that has been on repeat. For some reason, good or bad, humans tend to repeat their history. They tend to repeat it. Why? Because they don't know it. It is a saying again, those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. However, we live in a time where understanding what has happened in the past has been told to us, it doesn't matter. We have been consistently and constantly told that the past is the past and it doesn't matter. Don't talk about it. It doesn't have any relevance to what is going on today. That is one of our first mistakes. As a matter of fact, a man by the name of Malcolm Little, or we know him as Malcolm X, actually says history is best qualified to reward all of our research. What did he mean by that? He actually meant that if we look at the past, we will reward ourselves by knowing what is going to happen within the future. The reason why I am sitting back and looking at this stuff is because I've studied history. I studied Greco-Roman history and African history, and I studied it for over 10 years. And the things that I saw, the things that I witnessed, the things that I read, and the things that I see today, they match, they correlate. And the reason why they do is because most human beings think that history is something that is just in the past and doesn't matter in these days and times. And I believe that we are wrong about that. Now, there have been a lot of people within my inbox speaking to me saying that they are afraid for their children when it comes to this LGBTQ quote-unquote agenda. I recently interviewed a trans person, two trans people, as a matter of fact, on a recent show I did. It's on the channel. You guys can actually check it out. And what I brought up in that interview is the fact that men, grown men, what I've witnessed, and grown women are actually around young children, sexualizing themselves and in turn sexualizing children. However, like I said, this is nothing new. Don't believe me? Let's take a trip down memory lane. Pederasty in ancient Greece was a socially accepted romantic relationship between an older male and a younger male, usually in his teens. It was characteristic of the archaic and classical periods. The influence of pederasty on Greek culture of these periods was so prevalent that it has been called the principal cultural model for free relationships between citizens. The principal model for relationships between citizens. This was the relationship model. Grown men and boys in their teens. This was the relationship that was the prominent relationship within Greece. Now, what is it that we find happening in today's times? There seems to be a push for grown men to sexualize children. Nothing new. Recently, The Sound of Freedom has been released. This film is an investigation into child pornography and sex trafficking. And the elites did not want this film being released for whatever reason.
Horrible smell. It smelled almost like an electrical fire.
We're getting refunds for The Sound of Freedom because apparently the water pressure in the bathrooms aren't working here, so no one can watch.
They literally had the lights on.
They kept the lights on the entire movie.
Who does that?
Should be back up in about, I would say, about 5 minutes, okay?
And they turn the movie off.
It's actually happening.
Give you our free passes to come back and see it again, hopefully without interruption. I unfortunately apologize for the inconvenience, but we're getting it hopefully looked at later in the week. Can I trust you? Sorry, guys.
Really?
This is called intentional. They don't want it to go to the box office.
Just to let you guys know again, it is gonna get hot. It is gonna be like that throughout the whole movie.
So why should only this one though, not all the other ones?
Because this was assigned in a theater that was smaller, unfortunately, to high demand and an audience.
Nah, bullshit, dude.
Well,
that's bullshit though.
We have a 9 and we have an 11 o'clock showing for the exchanges. You can get a full refund, or you can go ahead and get an exchange for the other times.
But we can watch it, right? They're gonna play the movie?
Yeah, we're about to play it right now.
Hey everybody, I'm Dana White. There's a new movie out called The Sound of Freedom, and it's about human trafficking. More importantly, the trafficking of children. This is a disgusting, horrific issue that's happening all around the world, and it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give any of my UFC employees that want to see this movie free tickets to go see, and I would like to encourage other executives to do the same at their company.
Now, all of us behind closed doors speak about this stuff. There is a hornet's nest of child trafficking going on that is not being spoken about. It is being suppressed. When we see things and we see brands like Balenciaga put out ad campaigns where it is actually promoting child pedophilia, we say certain things and then it all disappears. We think nothing of it. But this thing is a billion-dollar industry. I have no problem with people wanting to be homosexual. No problem whatsoever. What I have a problem with is the fact that you want to get children involved in this behavior. There are many that do. And this film, Sound of Freedom, unearths all of it. So if you guys get the time, please go and watch Sound of Freedom. Again, relationships with adult men and pre-pubescent children. This has happened historically. What we are seeing in these days and times is the continuation of the Greco-Roman culture. When we look at Sound of Freedom and we realize that there have been so many children which have been trafficked, so many children which have been taken advantage of, we realize that the Greco-Roman era amongst the elites never actually ended. It continued. It hid itself. It stayed quiet from the public. But what is happening now is that things are being unearthed. And what is going to happen is there are going to be many people realizing that we are under the rule of Nero. Because what is going to happen once you attempt to unearth what is going on? You are going to be cancelled. You are going to be sidelined. You are probably going to be suicided. And you are probably going to be silenced because the elites within this Greco-Roman culture, nothing new, want to continue this type of relationship between adult men and pre-pubescent boys. If you are an adult man and you have a relationship with an adult man, you are not who I'm talking about. If you are an adult woman and you have a relationship with an adult woman, you are not the person that I'm talking about. I am specifically talking about adult men attempting to have relationships with pre-pubescent children. It has been something that has been done historically, and it's something that, in my personal point of view, needs to be stopped. This is what we are seeing in these days and times of Nero. I have now called this time the days and times of Nero. And what happened to ancient Rome and ancient Greece? They fell because of debauchery. It's just what happens. If everybody here wants to pick up a history book and read, please, I implore you, go and understand, go and read, go and research the fact that what we are seeing in these days and times is merely a continuation of what has already happened. I have been Sa Ra Garvey. Thank you all. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe on your way out the door as we keep asking ourselves, what is going on in the world? We are learning more and more. We are seeing more and more, and it is getting more and more crazy. It is getting more and more weird, but it's got to be documented. I will be here documenting it all as long as I can, and as long as you guys want the content. I'm gonna catch you all on the flip side.